All right. Hello, everybody. We hope everybody is surviving this quarantine process here in Ohio and all over the country. Um, we hope everybody's staying safe, healthy, and sane. It's all a different world for us right now, but I think we will come through this much stronger. So, we wanted to hop on here today and kind of tell you a little bit about what we're kind of doing. And if you found yourself having a bunch of time on your hands and you're trying to get some of the stuff that you've said you wanted to get done and haven't been able to do that because you haven't had the time, painting and household projects. But if one of those things that you've been putting off is um, getting your estate plan in order and trying to answer the question of what happens if something, what happens to all of your assets or to your children if something happens to you, we'd like to help you with that. And so we're doing appointments either in person if you want. We are considered an essential business. And so the governor has allowed us to continue to operate. But we're also offering to do these appointments by phone or Skype or video conferencing, whatever you would like to do. Um, and so we can help get some of that, check some of those items off your to-do list that you've kind of put off. Because we find that the reason people tend to put off doing their estate plan is a couple reasons. One, they think they don't really need to have an estate plan. They don't really think about it. It's too hard to think about, or they say they just don't have the time. And so we try to make it very easy on you. We walk you through the whole process, and we try to shoulder all the burdens of getting everything in order for you. Ask you simple questions to try to figure out what that plan would look like, and we're going to kind of talk to you about some of the things to consider. But pretty much everybody should have an estate plan, at least to know how to minimize the hassle that your family members might have to go through if something were to happen to you. We know this all seems kind of grim at this time, but we hope we can set something up in place for you that you won't need for many, many years or ever, because everything goes really well for you and everybody stays safe and healthy. Um, so generally, there are kind of three documents that we recommend for a basic estate plan. The first being your last will and testament. So that's um, what happens to your assets, or who can get custody of your children, or who you recommend to get custody of your children if something happens to you. Um, it also, the second document we have is that we recommend is a power of attorney. So who gets to manage your financial affairs and take care of things in the event you're unable to do so? You're still alive, but say you're in the hospital, you're unable to make those financial decisions for you or yourself. And so somebody would be able to take care of those for you. And that allows you to give them certain authorities and to choose the person who's able to go to the bank, continue to pay your bills, and take care of all that for while you're in there until you come out, so that your DP&L doesn't get turned off and all of that while you're in the hospital. And the third document is a living will healthcare power of attorney. And so that document is for who gets to make your medical decisions in the event you're unable to do so. And so we find it's important to have that document so that if you are unconscious and you end up in the hospital, or you're unable to make medical decisions, that you let the hospital know simply who gets to make those decisions, who you'd like to make those decisions. And it also has some spots in there where you can say what your desires are in the event it gets too bad. Again, I know it seems very grim, but planning for things when they're good is always easier than having to wait till the last minute and not be able to do those things when things go bad or something happens. And so we kind of want to walk you through some of those documents today, and so you can kind of think about what you want to do. Let's start with the living will, because that's the one I think most people are most common with, the last will and testament. And so that document, as we just said, is the document that lets a person, lets the court, and lets everybody in the world know who you want to receive your stuff. And so if we always use the example of, we take everything you own and we put it in a pile. Um, we try to divide that stuff up in however you want that to go to. And there's kind of two ways items pass when that to get transferred when you pass away. One is by operation of contract law, and the other is by operation of probate law. Operation of contract law is where you have or items where you have a named beneficiary. And so, in estate planning purposes, our goal is to try to get that pile in the middle of the room that we just put everything that you own in. We'd want to get that as small as possible by getting things out of there by operation of contract law. So that way the courts don't have to get involved. So things like life insurance, investment accounts, retirement accounts, houses, all of those things we can help set up that to go by operation of contract law, so that there's no lag time, so no downtime from the time that passes from when you pass away to when that items can go to to their family members or whoever they want those items to go to. And it also lowers the expense in the probate process. So probate process is when the court gets involved and looks at the will, or if you don't have a will, looks at the intestacy statute to decide who gets your property. And so if we're able to get that out of that pile by contract law, that helps save you a bunch of money, and that money being tied up in that probate process. Probate process is not as scary as a lot of people like to make it out, but it's always easier if we don't have to deal with that, because we can get that stuff to where it goes quicker and more efficiently than where you want it to go. So that's the operation of contract law. So a house that has a transfer on death deed on it, or a joint with right of survivor deed on it, and we're able to check all of those your existing deeds to see what it is, and to see if we need to kind of beef that up, or change that deed to be able to get it to go where you want. Work with your financial advisors. We can work with anybody that you want us to work with to help make sure we have beneficiaries set up. Um, the other part is the probate process. So everything that goes and that's still left in that pile, that would go by operation of probate law. And so that's where the court then looks to your will, if you have one, to decide who you want the rest of your stuff to go to. Because there's almost always stuff that just does not get placed in contract law kind of things. Even if you have a trust, there's always something in it. It's always the car. For some reason, the cars are usually left out, that we have to open a estate for to be able to transfer out. And so that's why your will is important, is it helps nominate who, or tell the court or tell the public who you want to receive your assets that are still left in that pile. The other is, if you have children under the age of 18, it allows you to, or under the age of 18 and have not graduated high school, so are considered minors under the law of the state, that it allows you to name a guardian, so a person to take care of those children, because a child under the age of 18 that is not emancipated cannot live on their own. They have to have somebody to help take care of them, a guardian. And so that will allows you to help pick that person, because your family members, who all is there and who you want to raise your kids. And so that allows you to pick that person. And so otherwise the court gets to do it, and the court will do the best they can, but they may not know the family dynamic, and it puts your family in a bad situation to try to fight over these kids. Sorry, we're shooting this from our home office, so obviously Dakota, our CEO, is barking in the background. Let me pause this for a second. And all right, sorry about that. We're back. So being able to pick that family member and have that set up. You can also kind of restrict. So you think about, if you just your financial assets alone. So a person under the age of 18 cannot legally inherit. So that can be placed into a temporary trust. So you think of your assets. So if something happens to you, and you say your house is worth, 150,000 or $200,000, and then you've been working for 20 years or 30 years, or somewhere in there, plus life insurance, so you can easily get to over $1 million. And a family of two kids, if you think of if a husband and wife pass away and everything's to go to the kids, but they're under the age of 18, or they're 20 years old. I like to think of, what would I have bought if if somebody gave me $200,000 at the age of 20, and as much as I like to believe I was pretty responsible, we would probably have maybe bought a new car, um, bought some things that probably should not have bought. And so, it's a lot of money and a lot of responsibility for those younger people to have. And so um, we can try to delay that so that it can go into a trust, so that a trusted person that you choose can manage those affairs until your children get a little bit older, say 23 or 25, can pay for stuff like their schooling, their living expenses, medical expenses, can buy them a new computer for college or what have you. If they finish college, can even do things like pay for a wedding. And so it just kind of prolongs the ability till the children are a little bit more mature as far as that goes. So that's why a will is important. It also allows you to, you pick your executor, you show who you want to administer your estate, because it just makes it a lot easier on your family members to have that stuff set up in advance. Um, you can also pick specific items. So, for example, if you have a Joey Bosa autographed baseball or football, or a Joey Votto signed baseball that you want to go to your brother or to somebody else, or if you want to specifically, if a mother wants to specifically leave her wedding and engagement rings to their daughter or so forth, we can be as specific as we want, or as general as just, hey, everything to my husband or my wife, and then after that to my children. So we can be as specific or non-specific as you would like. So I think that covers what that last will and testament does, and why it's important to just try to streamline that process and make sure that your family is protected. Because if they're dealing with the stress of losing you, it can be a lot overwhelming to try to deal with the assets and worry about finances as well. That having an estate plan will help with. The second document that we talked about is the power of attorney. So that's what allows you to name a person and even a backup person that in the event you end up in a coma or something happens, that allows you to name a person to take care of your affairs, pay your bills, set up certain things, reinvest if necessary, just to maintain your life the way you would have wanted to had you been able to do it yourself. Again, pretty simple document, but it just saves a lot of headache on your family members, because otherwise, if you don't have that and you're unable to make your financial decisions, they're either not going to get made, and so nobody's going to be able to do anything, or you're going to have to go and your family members are going to have to go and apply for an emergency um, guardianship or so forth to be able to handle that sort of thing. Um, Also, so the next document is the healthcare power of attorney living will. Again, pretty simple. It just says, what you want to, you can put in there what you want to happen, whether you want to be on life support, who you want to make your medical decisions in the event you're unable to do that. And that way it's very clear. The families don't get into a fight or an argument over who's making those decisions. And so those are just important documents that everybody should have. In doing that estate plan, we can also talk to you about, hey, your assets are getting fairly significant, or you've got these issues, and so maybe a trust is more appropriate. But our goal is never to try to upsell you into a trust if that's not something you need. We're certainly able to do trust. We do a lot of them, and so we just try to find the estate plan that best fits your life and your needs and cost that you would like to have, that you're willing to have, because we don't want people to be dissuaded from doing this because it costs too much. It's actually surprisingly um, cheap in the grand scheme of things to be able to get all of your stuff in order. So if you find yourself with some time on your hands because you're stuck with your family members, or you're stuck in your house, and you've said, hey, my bucket list is I want to get my estate, my affairs in order. Um, Give us a call, 937-426-4000, or you can contact us through our website, becklawofficellc.com, or you can even contact us through Facebook by sending us a private message, and we'd be happy to set up a phone conference with you. Or if you want to meet in person, we can do that. But when we've got this kind of downtime, let's get let us help you get your stuff in order, and we look forward to hearing from you. Have a good day.